Hello and welcome to Forever Rugby on Forever Sports. For today's Currie Cup semi-final clash, one finalist has been decided. Another will be decided in the next sort of 2 hours. We've got the Sharks taking on the Griquas down in Durban at Kings Park Stadium. The underdogs Griquas, can they do it again? Can they continue to upset the big teams and find themselves in a Currie Cup semi-final? Or will it be the Sharks who have come back pretty well? I don't know. It's been a bit of a strange season for the Sharks. They've had some very good matches and some very bad matches. The last time these two teams clashed, the Griquas actually won, despite having quite a few yellow cards throughout the match. So it should be a very, very interesting game. I think yesterday we saw the Bulls quite comfortably sweep aside the Western Province. But I think today the Griquas will prove to be a far harder team to try and beat than the Western Province were last night. I mean, the Bulls pretty much won the game last night within the first sort of 17 minutes. So, you look at that game and you compare it to this game, I think this game should be much closer. I mean, you look at log positions, your second versus third semi-final should always be much closer than your sort of first versus fourth. But yeah, please go and start voting in the comments. We've got a poll running. So at the moment, Sharks are leading, but there are a couple of people who do fancy a potential Griquas upset. So go and vote there in the chat panel. Get your chats in. Let me know where you're watching from. Let me know who you're supporting, who you're backing in this clash today. It should be a really interesting one. We'll go through the teams in about 5 minutes' time. Currie Cup semi-final. So we've reached the business end, really, of the Currie Cup, and hopefully we'll be treated to quite a good sort of 80 minutes over the next sort of 2 hours. And by next weekend, we'll have two of the best sides in the country going toe-to-toe to try and, add that Currie Cup to their trophy cabinet. Before we sort of get stuck into the game, we start getting our score predictions and the like into it. Please do go and show our sponsors, Manscaped, some support. We are currently being supported by Manscaped, who are the #1 brand for men's below-the-waist grooming needs. They are trusted by over 2 million people worldwide, and you can get yourself 20% off as well as free shipping using the code FOREVER at checkout on manscaped.com. Go to manscaped.com. They've got a variety of different products, such as the Lawnmower 4.0, which features revolutionary new skin-safe technology. It's waterproof. It has wireless charging, as well as a little LED light so you can see what you're doing. You can get that and so much more on manscaped.com, and you can get yourself 20% off as well as free shipping using the code FOREVER. They are supporting us, so do go and support them. But today, what are we thinking? Get in the chat. Let me know who are you backing today? Who are you supporting? As a neutral, I'm a neutral, so I'm kind of hoping that the Griquas will do a job. I'm really hoping that the Griquas will sort of just sort of shock another some more people, and I don't think they'll go the distance. I don't really see them beating the Bulls. But I do think it's a side that is capable of beating the Sharks. And if they can beat the Sharks, why can't they go to Loftus and sort of shock the Bulls and make a really good game of it? It's a side which Scott Mathias got playing really, really well. And, it's not a star-studded side at all. But they've made some couple of key signings over the season. I mean, something like the captain, Ruan Steenkamp, he's been really, really solid. Something like George Whitehead, who's really settled in quite well in the number 10 jersey. They've got some big players today. Edwin Cater is playing against a side that he will then join towards the end of the year. So an opportunity for Sharks fans to get an idea of what he's all about ahead of his move down to Durban. But let me know which players you're looking out for the Sharks. They'll be led by Pepsi Buthelezi, so another big game for him ahead for today. I mean, somebody that's being touched as potential, Springbok captain, let alone Sharks captain. So, I mean, what an opportunity for him at, I think, 22 years old, to be leading his side out in the Currie Cup. It's a huge, huge moment for the youngster, and I really hope that he does rise to the occasion like he did against the British and Irish Lions, and he gives a really good account of himself today. But let me know who you're backing and what you think will happen on the day. We're 9 minutes away from kickoff, so we'll go to the teams in a moment and sort of look at which players are worth really watching, which players should be the standouts, and which players we're sort of expecting big things. But I'm hoping that it'll be a nice close semi-final and a real match that we can look on in a couple of years' time and think, you know what, that was what the Currie Cup's all about. Because if we're being really honest with ourselves, it's been a very frustrating Currie Cup campaign because we haven't seen we haven't seen the Currie Cup properly. There's so many games being cancelled for various reasons, between COVID, between the British and Irish Lions series having to shift schedules, between the riots and looting that took place in KwaZulu-Natal lots of games have been called off. Lots of games have been called off for a variety of reasons. And as a result, it hasn't been a Currie Cup, which I think is completely reflective of the rugby that's being played in the country at the moment. But all we can hope for is that the games that we see today and next week, that they are sort of more reflective of what the Currie Cup can produce. And that is that it is the oldest rugby competition in the world, that it is something that is really worth getting excited about. And we didn't really see it much in the last couple of weeks, but hopefully we will see it in a little bit. I'm just going to quickly go grab some water, which I forgot to go and grab. So please don't go away. I'll be with you guys back in just a few seconds. And in the meantime, get your we'll get our scoreboard up there. There we go. Sharks versus Griquas. We're at Kings Park. Please get your score predictions down in the comments below. Smash like on the video as well. Let's try and get as many people into the stream as possible. And I'll be back literally in less than a minute. Right, we're back. Right, so please, yeah, as I said, please do try and get your score predictions down in the comments. Let's sort of get ready. Let's get keen for what should be a really, really good game down in Durban. Kevin says, good afternoon, Kevin says, it's a tough game for sure. Hopefully Sharks can go through because in all honesty, feel sorry for Pumas, but two best teams were Sharks and Bulls. Overall, Bulls are favourite to go all the way. Sean Farrell's going Sharks 30, Griquas 20. And Honey Nell says, Bulls really play like a champion winning team against Western Province. That opening sort of 70 minutes was literally just a demonstration of how good the Bulls are. You know, I thought Western Province had moments where they could try and get back into the game last night, but it really was just it was like seeing a bodybuilder flex their muscles. You know, it's like, this is what we have, this is what we can do, this is how good we are as a union at the moment. It was very, very impressive last night from the Bulls, and hopefully the Sharks can try and do sort of a bit of a similar thing for the Griquas. The next time they'll be playing is probably sort of January when they get the Currie Cup going again. So I suppose it's quite important for them to try and give a good showing of themselves ahead of what will be the Currie Cup sort of next season, because they won't. I mean, they're not going to be going to Europe at this stage. But what they have done very, very well this season is just sort of put themselves on the map, really, and show that they are a team that can offer SA Rugby something. And it's not just a walkover team, that they do offer SA Rugby something, that they are an important part of the sort of South African rugby system, and they can't be ignored. I just want to get my sound sorted quickly. There we go. But I genuinely think that the Griquas could do a job today. I think they've got it in them to actually to make it very competitive. So hopefully they do that, and we do see a decent game. But yeah, so Escovivo says that Greek was upsetting because my heart says so. Honey Nell's going Sharks 21, Greek was 24. So somebody going for a Greek was win there. And then Francis Platt saying, I have this feeling that the Cross are more hungry to get a cup trophy into their dusty cabinet. Yeah, look, never write off somebody, never write off the underdogs, you know, especially when it comes to player of rugby. It's a whole different kettle of fish, to be honest. So as I said, I wouldn't rule the Griquas off at all. Hang on, our cricket man, South Australia lost against Sri Lanka. Yeah, but we've off to a good start so far. So I'm hoping that the boys will respond. I mean, I just saw that Sri Lanka down for 2 already. KJ Abada doing the business over there in the cricket. We will be doing so. Now that you guys are all here, I know that we haven't been doing as much as we usually do, sort of on a week-to-week basis. Look, we still put out 21 videos over the last week. But we have been doing a lot of planning in terms of what we're going to do on the channel, and especially how we're going to use our different channels, because we do have, Forever Rugby and Forever Football and Forever Cricket and stuff like that. So we've been doing a lot of discussion and stuff on how we're going to sort of plot our way forward and negotiate the coming months with URC, with Premier League, with Autumn Nations Internationals, with the Rugby Championship and stuff like that. So that is why we've been a little bit slack with our uploads. We haven't been doing as many sort of daily news videos, stuff like that. So we obviously will get back to doing that very, very soon. And next week we should hopefully be back yesterday. Unfortunately, yesterday we couldn't go live last night because Lacanio had some issues down his side. And I was on a work shift, so I couldn't do it. So apologies for missing last night. We are live today. We will be live tomorrow morning. I'll be getting up early and keeping you guys company for Australia versus New Zealand. So we will be live for that game. And then this coming week, it's going to be a bit of a expect to see some new faces. Is the sort of plan. We want to try and get some more people involved in the channel and try and sort of commit to sort of a more regular sort of programming schedule where, the rugby wise, we will still be uploading as much rugby as we have been for the last of the year. But we want to try and sort of start bringing in some more sports, and being Forever Sports, we need to give you guys more sport. At the end of the day, that was sort of what we've sort of set out to do. We didn't set out to just be all about the rugby and stuff like that. So we will be looking at bringing in more sport. We're looking at bringing in some more cricket presenters and stuff like that, and try and give you guys a bit of more sort of a holistic or rounded approach. But that doesn't mean that the rugby will be going away. We'll still be doing as much rugby. Hopefully just be complementing with a little bit of other stuff. And then we're going to be trying to get our other channels going as well, and try and get Forever Rugby going properly, which will have like highlights of the stream will be on Forever Rugby, and stuff like that. So let's get ready, shall we? Kickoff has just been a couple of, I think the players are about to come out onto the stadium. Jonathan Frankie out because it's his 100th test of his career. I just want to sort my sound out. What am I doing? And then the rest of. I mean, somebody like Jonathan Frankie, those are the stories that are really cool, isn't it? Somebody who's doesn't necessarily been in the sort of top unions throughout their career, but just been a solid servant of the game for many years. So for him to get his 100th appearance for the Griquas in the semi-final is just a really, really cool story. Where is my connection? I'm trying to get my headphones in. Having a disaster over here. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. There we go. So I'm all sorted. Sorry, having a couple of issues with the audio, so we have to use the good old headphones today. But the men are out in the middle. We've got Rastavenge is the man with the whistle. TDX Gaming is saying Sharks 35, Griquas 20, going with a 15-point Sharks win there. Sorry, Mark van der Westhuizen is actually the referee. Rastavenge is an assistant. Eskikivo says, you think the Western Province will change the coaching instead of Dobson fully stepping down? They should make him attacking coach. I don't think they will change, to be honest. I'd be very surprised. Colin Lex says Griquas 25, Sharks 20. Quite a few people have gone with quite a close game, so hopefully that we will see something like that. The Sharks will be playing left to right in the first half here. Please do subscribe to the channel if you are new, getting ready for the scoreboard to get going in this Currie Cup semi-final. Now, I mean, at the end of the day, as Currie and Bosch gets us underway, these are the games you want to impress. You can tell your grandkids about the fact that you really sort of stood up during the Currie Cup final, and it's an early contribution there from Ruan Steenkamp underneath the high ball to secure the ball for his side. I think he's someone who's going to be very important today. Stefan Ungo going to the boot. He will not find touch, so Lionel Cornea will keep things going. Gives it to Currie Bosch, who's only playing the 15 jumper as a result of Lionel Cornea's form. He goes quite far to George Whitehead, who spills it, so he won't be able to mark it. Under a bit of pressure, goes to the boot. He does find touch at about halfway, so that's actually not a bad touch finder from George Whitehead. It's about, call it 8 meters just inside their own half. Probably would have thought about marking the ball, but did spill it, so he couldn't do that. And under a little bit of pressure, that's not a bad clearance by any means. Kevin says, this to make it interesting will be fun if Griquas make it to the final because Bulls are too powerful whoever they face. So, I mean, George Whitehead has currently got the most points in the Currie Cup with the games played. Tim Sewell in second place there. So it shows you how important that George White has been for the Griquas. An early lineup for the Sharks. Well run now. Vernon Cox sees a bit of space. Tete Abrams joined the line. Yeah, Painkler going outside and cutting inside. Early contribution for Laruru to is eventually brought down Maru and Steenkamp. Very big ball carrier is Laruru, so we expect him to see a lot of carrying today. Lionel Cornea bringing the back line, going to Bosch, going out wide to Dylan Richardson, who pops it across to Kieran van Vuuren. He gives it out to Gaban Krablo, who brings it in. They've gotten themselves almost up to about the 22 meters to have the Sharks. First carry of the day for Ntuka Mkunu. Now looking to bring Currie Bosch, going to Verticox. Verticox bringing the man, and now Pesi Buthelezi. Sizes of George Whitehead, takes into contact, still up to the 22, so not getting too much ground yet, despite going left to right. Flat ball. Oh, it's a really good angle. It's knocked on. There was an advantage there for the Griquas, so they'll go back for the penalty, but Ntuka Mkunu ran a really good line. If he managed to hold on to that, that could have been trouble for the Griquas. But an early penalty for the Sharks, an early decision to make for Pepsi Buthelezi. You see Ruan Steenkamp just tackling Henke Venter off the board there. And the first decision is to go for poles. Isakiva says George Whitehead should have deserved a chance in the big competition, but hey, at least he has helped the Griquas make 2 playoff appearances. Look, I mean, I mean, it's not too late for George Whitehead. I think that in a couple of injuries, and you could definitely, like a team like the Western Province or the Stormers, rather, somebody like the Lions, for example, there's no reason why, like a loan move, for example, during the URC wouldn't be beneficial at all. Right, so Currie Bosch will line this kick up. You will have the kicking duties for most of the day, playing with the number 15 on the back. And they go straight down the middle, and it's early points for the Sharks. And this is playoff rugby at the end of the day. You can't afford to make mistakes like Ruan Steenkamp did there. Tackling the man out the ball, penalty, 3 points, and you're down after the first couple of minutes. So just guilty of being a little bit over-eager, Ruan Steenkamp. But now George Whitehead will get the Griquas down into Sharks territory and try and put some pressure onto them. And we've seen it in the past, especially in the Currie Cup, with some of the teams really butchering their kickoffs and putting themselves under unnecessary pressure as a result of not being able to take the kickoffs clearly. So George Whitehead going towards the left, going quite deep. It's Pepsi Buthelezi underneath it. It's a solid from him, gets away from Edwin Cater and eventually runs to a bit of traffic, but it's a solid work from the number 8. Created a nice angle in there, and Humber looking for the box kick, but he's well inside his own half, gives himself a decent angle, and I don't think that'll be a great, that's a terrible kick from the Humber. He's pretty much gained himself 2 meters, and this is what I'm talking about, the idea of exit play, and the fact that if you can't exit well, you put yourself under immediate pressure, and that's not a great kick from Snell and the Humber, and all of a sudden the Griquas have got a line out just in front of the 22, which is a really nice attacking opportunity early on. Go to the back, not the cleanest line of win, but it is. Oh, and Stefan Angura there, fumbling a little bit. Eventually goes to Frankie on his 100 test, who rides the head of Dylan Richardson, eventually brings into contact, but they've been driven back towards the 10-meter line. So not the best early set piece there from the Griquas. It's a big hit on Hanu Surgeon. They've been driven back to almost the halfway line. We'll pick up and go there. Russell Claudia at first receiver, then taking it into contact. I'm going to go to Whitehead, who goes to the boot, puts it down the middle of the park. Didn't go particularly far, so it's going to be quite contestable. It bounces from Currie Bosch. Lionel Cornea under a lot of pressure from his opposite number. And a penalty, I think it's for the Sharks. Yeah, so, and you see, and the referees have been nailing this quite harshly. So he's been penalised there for not retreating the kick to be in front of the kicker. So that's a really, really poor penalty to concede. So you can see that the players just not retreating there from the Griquas, giving away a needless penalty, which is very, very frustrating from their side. Right, back to Kobler, who I think will probably be the key nine man for the Sharks. The Penkler gets his second involvement of the game off the back of the line. Quick ball from the Hammer, doesn't go to anyone, comes off the ankles of Dylan Richardson, so it is a knock-on advantage towards the Griquas, who have gained possession back inside their own half on the 10-meter. George White, I thought about kicking, goes to Edwin Cater, who gets away from one, gets the ball away to Daniel Casenda. Currie Bosch has chased him down and eventually walks into touch just inside the Sharks territory on the right-hand side. Bit of a mess patch play, and then Hammer thought about taking it quickly, but is told he can't do it, so they'll have to wait and set the lineup properly. Oh, it's lineup steal there from the Griquas. That's good work there. I think it was RJ Smith who's won it back. Front foot ball here. Chris Hollis finds a bit of space, gets himself past the 10-meter line. It's a nice carry there by the outside centre. Pops it up to Stefan Ungara. Hardnu Sergio it's a big hit on him. Going towards the left to Hollis once again. Runs straight into Werner Koch and Currie Bosch. Now RJ Smith. And it's a penalty there for not rolling away. It's Kuno who's the man who's been penalised. Very, very kickable position here for the Griquas on the left-hand side, about 20 meters infield. So it wouldn't be the most complicated kick. Yeah, and immediately here comes the decision. They will have a shot at goal. So George White with a chance to extend his lead in the top of the Currie Cup's point scorers position, but he's pulled it to the left. So it's an early mistake there from George Whitehead. That's very uncharacteristic from him. He's been very, very good in front of the poles, but that's not a particularly good kick as well. And Kutan Kuna gets away with one there. The restart going towards the left-hand side. Now Casendo's a bit messy, but it eventually falls to Moxham Coley. So the Griquas have one possession back. Oh, now Stefan Ungara just tipped over the top for George Whitehead. Oh, he dabs the head. The race is on. Currie Bosch is retreating. He carried it over. He's carried it over. So now he needs to get himself out of trouble. He stepped away from one. He's brought in Werner Koch. It's really good work there from Currie Bosch. Werner Koch is wrapped up by Ruan Sticker. It's a big hit, but he does get the ball away to Louis Roots. Daniel Casena wraps him up. Really good work from Currie Bosch. It's a good kick over the top by Stefan Ungara. Nice little touch ahead by George Whitehead. Currie Bosch. Oh, it's not a great pass to Tukum Kuna as the Sharks try and get themselves outside of the 22. I think now Cornea back in the pocket. It is back from him from the Humber, and Cornea eventually finds touch, but it's not a great touch finder either. So just apart the 22, and the Sharks are a little bit under pressure there. It was really a tailsy kick, just a little dab over the top, and George Whitehead had the pace. He saw the ball was going to bounce back, so he stabbed it ahead again. Currie Bosch had the pace to reel the ball in, get away from him. Boom, step away from Coley, and then Werner Koch was there to help him get out of danger. Big hit on Werner Koch, who managed to get the ball off in the tackle, and the Roots eventually sort of holding the ball up for a bit of time whilst allowing a bit of support, and the kick eventually is not a great clearance from Lionel Cornea, so not out the woods so far, the Sharks. Griquas was the line out on the 22, and it's not as messy line, and it has landed the side of the Sharks. Kieran from Fury and giving it to Lionel Cornea, who's thrown that, I think, forward. No. Well, Yao Penkley then decides to stab it ahead. It's quite messy. Ashton Davids now gets his first touch of the ball. Oh, it's a big hit from Werner Koch on him on the halfway line. Unger waiting for a couple of support before going to the box kick. He does put it quite high. It'll land just inside the 22. And Currie Bosch has called the mark there and trying to slow things down. Probably not the best kick from Stefan Unger. GHB says, what's your opinion on how our teams... I think it's double whistle. I think the clock's off for some reason. I think we're checking a clean out here on Gideon van der Merwe for Marius Lowe. So we're checking foul play at the moment. GHB says, what's your opinion on how teams are doing at URC? Our best teams at the top of the tail are worse in the middle. Our best teams in the middle are worse at the bottom. I don't know, to be honest. I think the Bulls, there's no reason they can't be within the top 4 or 5 best sides. I think the Sharks will probably be about mid to high table. I think if they can get it right. I think Western Province and Lions at this stage, unless they sort of bring in some really good players and make some quick improvements, I reckon they'll be finding themselves sort of towards the bottom 8. Looking at a clean out chair on Gideon van der Merwe from Marius Lowe. So they're looking at a penalty here. He does come in. It's just it's the arm around the neck on Gideon van der Merwe, which is the issue. So the decision is foul play against... Okay, penalty there from Marius Lowe. It's not a great moment from him. It's a bit... So I'm just busy sorting my sound out here. There we go. That's better. Now I can get rid of the headphones. So it's penalty towards the Griquas. Marius Lowe guilty of a bit of a naughty clean out there. I don't think there was much in it, to be honest. There wasn't a high level degree of force. He used his arms, but his arm was around their head, which is the issue there. So it will only be a penalty. So George Whitehead will not take the points, and he'll kick this towards the corner. And there's not a lot of margin of error when it comes to play of rugby at the end of the day. You know, you don't want to be that person who concedes a needless penalty, which results in points, which comes back to bite you towards the end. So it's just all about discipline at the moment. All about discipline. 2 penalties conceded apiece at the 12-minute mark. Ruan Steenkamp at the front of the line out is used. They're looking to try and use the first one more, but he is taken out in the air. So that's a penalty from Henko Fento, I think, is the man who's been penalized. Another penalty to the Griquas. Now, this is a big decision, because obviously they can put themselves on the 5 meter. It is also a pretty easy kick. And they will take the points. Yeah, as I said, it's playoff rugby. You don't often go for points. You don't turn down points, unless you're really sort of chasing a pretty big margin. Very, very stupid area there from Henko Fento. There was no need to play him in the air, and you can just see far too early trying to play Ruan Steenkamp, who comes down. Penalties awarded, and the first thing the Griquas will try and level things up. George Whitehead has already missed one, which wasn't a good kick at all. It's pretty uncharacteristic from George Whitehead, so he'll need to try and nail this and try and sort of settle down. He is currently the leading point scorer in the competition. Very experienced kicker. Yeah, that's a much better strike from George Whitehead. That goes through down the middle, and the Griquas are on the board. 3 points apiece in the first 14 minutes. Bit of a messy start and a poor penalty conceded from the Sharks, but the Griquas are up and running for the day through the boot of George Whitehead. As SQ says, Griquas need every point as possible. I think playoff rugby, you take any points you can. You don't turn down three. You take the points on offer. You keep that scoreboard ticking over, and you see where you are. Towards the 80 minutes, a bit of a messy kickoff there. Take Abraham's bringing in a good chase, and Ashton Davis under a lot of pressure has been tackled right up on the 5-meter line there from the Sharks. So it's a good kick chase, good pressure on the Griquas, but they do have the ball available. Sorry, Stefan Unger goes to Eric Tiaga there, and now Stefan Unger will go to the boot. And he finds a decent touch finally, right by the 10-meter line. It's a nice clearance there from Stefan Unger. And I think if the Griquas are to win this game, if they are to progress to the final, I think we will see big games from the likes of Stefan Angera and George Whitehead. That halfback combination has been really effective for them the entire season. And if they play well today, the Griquas have got a really good chance. So Kieran van Vuren on the 10-meter line side the Griquas territory goes to Grobler. Griquas did try and contest, but missed out. Here we go, a bit of a rolling maul. They've been told to use it. Nahama uses it and chips over the top. Well, if anybody's wondering why Nahama's not in the box squad, that moment could shed a bit of light. I mean, out of absolutely nothing, he's decided to take the ball off the back of the maul, and he's just chipped it straight back into touch. So all he's done is conceded the ball, basically. I mean, I don't even know what he was trying to do there. He's smiling and trying to sort of point towards something. We have no idea what the point of that kick was. I don't know if he was trying to he saw a bit of space there and he wanted to try and play a bit of territory and try and pin them back inside their own 22. But all he's done is tripped it far into touch and gifted the Griquas a lineup back in very dangerous territory. Well, not dangerous territory, but the Sharks were looking in decent territory with a bit of front foot ball inside Griquas territory, and they've just given the ball back. They go to the front of the line to the Griquas. I'm going to bring in Jonathan Frankie on his 100th game. Runs into Kutu Mkuno and Lionel Cornier. And Stefan Unger immediately to the boot. It's not gone particularly fast. It will be quite contestable. Thake Abrahams spills it forward. Oh, and Moxham Currie almost managing to pick it up, but does knock it on himself. So it will be a scrum and a Griquas fee. Quite a messy opening sort of 16 minutes. Bit of a messy opening stanza. You can see there, Thake Abrahams taking his eye off the ball. Daniel Casenda putting quite a lot of pressure. Then Moxham Currie knocking it on. So it hasn't been the prettiest rugby, but I suppose when it gets to play of rugby, it's not always the prettiest. It's effective. It's about, what you can what you can do, and if you win the game and it's messy, you'll take it. Right, a bit of a messy scrum there, and they will have a reset. Both front rows not particularly settled, not much stability there. Solid scrum there. Stefan Unger thought about going to the side, then goes down the blind side. And it's not a great pass to Casendo. He's having to sort of clean up, and he's wrapped up by Dylan Richardson. We're going to scrum off here to the Griquas, so somebody's going to have to come in. George Whitehead does oblige. Goes out far. Long pass out to Ashton Davids. He goes to Chris Harris. He goes immediately to Edwin Cater. A bit of space there. And Yal Penkler gave him a bit of space, but eventually has sort of roped him in. The Griquas getting themselves to almost up to the 22. Ashton Davids filling it. Oh, scrum off where he is very, very comfortable. And Jonathan Frankie knocking the ball on. Turnover ball to the Sharks on their 22. LaRue Roots puts his head down. Gets that's not a particularly good offload, but I think they'll go back from the first knock on. So it probably will be a scrum and a Sharks feed. Good afternoon, Aiden. Hope you're well. Please, guys, please do smash a like on the video. We've got 80 people watching and just 6 likes. Let's see if we can try and get that up to about 20 or even 30 by the time we get to halftime. It feels like an age since I've done a watch along, and we were live last weekend. It's just, I don't know, I think it's been a very long week. It's felt like a very long week. Oh, that's a terrible mistake. Yeah, sorry. I have the score is 3-3. I will all the sound issue. I've got to update the scoreboard earlier. We've got time off though, so we can do a bit of a recap. So I mean, almost 18 minutes into the game, and I'd say messy is the word to use. I don't know if it's nerves or anything like that, but it hasn't been particularly structured. The set pieces have also not been great. George White has already pulled a kick. We had quite a few handling errors. So we'll have another scrum here. It's on the left-hand side of the park. Stefan Unger is down as well, receiving some treatment. He's shaking his head, so I'm not sure if that's a particularly good sign from him. Right, the top try scorers so far in the Currie Cup. We've got Evan Lewis and Simon Vestrad with 8 tries apiece, but those two teams are out of it. Edwin Cater with 7 is the only player in the top 5 who's still in the competition. Edwin Cater, of course, will be joining the Sharks after the Currie Cup ahead of the United Rugby Championship. One of their new acquisitions. Right, so the clock is back on. Looks like Stefan Unger will be able to continue. No issues there. Darren Best said nothing here to worry the Bulls. Yeah, so far, I think the Bulls, Jake White will be sitting there thinking that I don't think there's much to analyze at the moment. It's just been so poor. Oh, but penalty there for the Griquas. And it's against Inchituka Mkunu, who I keep saying his biggest issue is a scrummaging. So that's a big penalty for the Griquas to win. It's inside Sharks territory, on 22. They've already pointed to the poll, so George White will have a chance to try and kick the Griquas into the lead. And you can see Inchituka Mkunu is Albert just slipping onto the ground there and then going over, and they're not being able to sort of take the pressure from the Griquas. Wasn't a particularly good position, was Inchituka Mkunu. And George Whitehead, who's got 150 Currie Cup points this season so far, will be able to try and make 157 and try and sort of break that 160 mark this match. And as I said, I think if he kicks well today and the Griquas find themselves in penalties in decent areas, there's no reason why they can't cause a bit of an upset. Well, he struck it well. Goes on the inside of the poles there, and George Whitehead has gotten his second penalty of the day. The Griquas are in the lead, and have, after being under pressure in the first sort of 10 to 15 minutes, or so, by the first 10 minutes, have responded pretty well. Got themselves in decent positions, and they've now gotten themselves back, but into the lead for the first time. Currie Bosch with the restart, going towards the left-hand side of the park. Once again, Ruan Steenkamp, the Griquas captain, underneath it. Pressure being applied from Yao Penklin, but it is available for Stefan Unger. He gives it to Hanu Sergil. And once again, the box kick from Stefan Unger towards the halfway line. It's kept in by Yao Penklin. He then tosses it out. So that's a horrible mistake from Yao Penklin. He was trying to sort of be a bit fancy. Stefan Unger wincing after that kick. So Yao Penklin managed to keep it inside and then try to sort of throw the chicken wing sort of bullet pass there, and he's pretty much just thrown it straight back into touch. So he's actually conceded the line out. I mean, trying to do this, and he's just literally thrown it basically behind himself, straight back into touch. So it will be a Griquas line on the halfway line, and the Sharks are just making far too many errors so far. I can see a couple of penalties, a couple of basic errors. Right, towards the top, that's decent win there from RJ Smith. I'm going to go in. Jonathan Frankie, as you'd imagine, running the crash ball. Big hit on him from Marius Lowe and Dylan Richardson. Marius Lowe turning the ball over on the ground. It's a good turnover from him. Kutum Kunu up against Killian van der Merwe. Nahamba going back to Lana Cornelia. I think the one about the kick. Basically dabs it ahead for Yao Penklin. So then Nahamba's busy facing it, trying to sort of pick up the ball with the ground. Not doing so successfully, but it is a penalty against the Sharks. And Nahamba there ahead of the kicker. So he's not had a particularly good start to the game, Hassan Nahamba. He's had a really bad clearance kick from the kickoff early on. He had a really poor moment early on with the The rolling more there from the Sharks, where he then just sort of chipped into touch. And now you see the penalty from being in front of the kicker. So there's a Griquas penalty just inside their own half towards the right-hand side of the park. Having a bit of discussion. I'm sure they'll be going for the line here. That's a decent kick from George Whitehead. He's found touch inside the 22. So it's a nice attacking opportunity here from the Griquas. It was a good win on the ground there from Marius Lowe, who managed to turn it over. And Lionel Cornelius with not too many options. They're chipping ahead. And Sinea Nahamba was miles offside and never did retreat. So you have to retreat. You can't advance until somebody puts you on side. Ed Barney says, would love for Kate to join the Lions. Now we've gone with Edward van der Merwe as our wing purchase. Escovedo says, let's go. Eden says, I want the Griquas to win. Always want the underdog to win. Yeah, I'm exactly the same. Well, it's been turned over here from the Griquas after winning the line out. So there's an advantage knock on there to the Sharks. Now Lionel Cornelius thinking about running it. He goes to Marius Lowe, puts his head down. Runs to Khili van der Merwe and George Whitehead. So the Sharks lose the set to the 22. Now Lionel Cornelius goes to the boot. He can't kick it out, so he pumps it down the middle of the park. Ashton Davids does very well to get himself into a decent position. Sees a bit of space out there to Ashton Davids. The bounce of the ball will not favor him at all, but it will sit up. So Cornelius will dab it down and go back for a 22 restart. It was almost a really good kick there from Ashton Davids. He saw the space and just the bounce of the ball not favoring him and staying inside. So it will be a 22 restart for the Sharks. Kevin says, why was Australia-New Zealand game moved to Sunday? Is because Rugby League, I could be mistaken, South Africa game against Australia moved Sunday next weekend. Yeah, both games next weekend are on a Sunday, which is not, I think it is a Sunday next weekend, which is not great. I'm not sure what the reason is. I don't know if it is Rugby League or what the issue is. I'm not a particularly big fan of it, but I suppose it is what it is. The return kick there from the Greek was fielded by the Sharks, and they've, under a little bit of pressure, but got the ball back on their 10-meter line. LaRue Roots now will try and get over the gain line, as he always does with the size he is. And it's a penalty won on the ground by RJ Smith against the Griquas. So that must be about the 5th or 6th penalty for the Griquas. And the Sharks' discipline is costing them. And it's player of rugby, so you can't afford to give away so many penalties. And they've pointed it for the poll. So George Whitehead will be able to try and extend the lead from 3 to 6. Good kick there from tackle from Steenkamp, and RJ Smith is over the ball very, very quickly. And they just never really deal with him. So he's still allowed to play. He's still on his hands on the ball. I mean, it's pretty much bang in front, towards the right from George Whitehead, but should be no issue. And the Sharks, it's just discipline. It's just discipline that's keeping the Griquas in the game here, because they haven't been particularly accurate so far, have the men from Kimberley, but they're just kind of living off the Sharks' mistakes, and the Sharks keep conceding penalties. And if they do keep conceding penalties throughout the game, George Whitehead will keep slotting these kicks and extending the lead, and you never know. By the end of the game, you could see Griquas finding their way into a final. When did the Griquas last win the Currie Cup? I actually don't know. Should we find out? Yep, decent kick there from George Whitehead. Up to 9 points there from the Griquas. Right, so I'm trying to look at the winners and stuff. So winner last of the Griquas win. I'll check you guys now. Decent win off the line there for RJ Smith, the man who won then the penalty. So it looks like the last time the Griquas won the Currie Cup was back in 1970, from what I'm seeing. I'll confirm now. The kick from the restart was quite deep there, and Pepsi Buthelezi will carry that towards the halfway line. Nahamba's not the greatest pass from Lionel Cornelius. Bosch trying to inject a bit of pace. Werner Koch giving away Thaka Abrams. You haven't seen much of him. He steps inside, gets away from one. Was looking for an offload, but there was nobody there. Quick ball here from the Humber, who goes to Lionel Cornelius, goes behind into Currie Bosch. Currie Bosch goes to Marius Lowe, takes the ball into contact himself. Up to just past 10-meter line, so good momentum here from the Sharks. Managed to find themselves some decent territory. Now Humber going to Lionel Cornelius, popping it to Louis Roots, who's wrapped up quite quickly. Now Werner Clark. Oh, it's almost obstruction there from Dylan Richardson. Out to Kutu Mkunu to Lionel Cornier. Lionel Cornier pops into Tuka Mkunu, which doesn't have much on. Manages to handle, but it's a very good handle from him. He then runs up and steams over and is eventually brought down by Sergio. Quick ball. They've got the numbers here, the Sharks. Oh, and the kick ahead from Lionel Cornier actually bounces off Daniel Cassenda and rolls into touch. So I think it will be a Sharks feed to the line out. Yeah, it will be a Sharks put to the line. So Lionel Cornier saw that he had the numbers, tried to sort of tip it over the top, and then just bounced straight off Daniel Cassenda into touch. But from what I can see, the last time the Griquas won the Currie Cup was all the way back in 1970. Last time they were in a final, I think that was the last time they were in a final, you know? So if we're looking at the Currie Cup over the last sort of decade, we saw the Bulls last year, the Cheetahs before that, then the Sharks, then the Province, then the Cheetahs, then the Lions, and the Western Province, then the Sharks. So the last time the Sharks won the Currie Cup was 2018, before then 2013. The Bulls obviously winning it last. Yeah, but it's been pretty spread out over the last sort of decade. I mean, we're looking at the last decade. 2010 Sharks, then Lions, then Province, then Sharks, then Province, then Lions, then Cheetahs, then Province, then Sharks, then Cheetahs, then Bulls. So the Bulls have probably been the one who's been the least successful over the last sort of decade. 21 and 2009. So 11 years, 11 years separating their two Currie Cup triumphs, but they could very well go back to back, which will put themselves back into decent line there from the Sharks with a bit of a delay. I'll set to adjust my clock slightly. Interference, but driven back off the back of the maul there from Ruan Stern Cup, and he's conceded a penalty though. So for the first time in a while there, the Griquas see a penalty, and then the Sharks have got a penalty in a decent position. Now they'll probably be able to try and sort of have another shot at goal and maybe sort of reduce that lead. Against Northern Transvaal, which is the Bulls. Now there, it's from Escohiba. Thank you very much. Are the stars aligning? I wonder. Well, I mean, it's early days. It's early days. Sharks turning down the points there. They have kicked to the corner. Obviously, a try for the Sharks will put them in the lead, or convert to try to put them into the lead. But if points go begging, they can look back at the stage and think, should we have actually done that? Kevin says, what on earth is going on with South Africa cricket team? I'm a big fan, but lose motivation because they play really shit when last they win a match. Well, they won the Ireland series and the West Indies series, but then they lost against Sri Lanka. So, a solid win there from Brand Kwabla right at the back of the line. Now here comes the rolling maul. There's Ruan Stern Cup on the bottom. Calls to use it once. So far, it's good defense here from the Griquas. They will have to use it with the Sharks. Couple players trying to go through the middle. They're trying to shift the point of contact. There is a penalty advantage now, so they've got a bit of a free roll of the dice. So the advantage is for collapsing the maul. The ball still hasn't quite come out. And the penalty is awarded. So I'm sure they'll probably go back and have another go there. There's initially really good defense from the Griquas. They slowed it down. The call was to use it once. And then Mox and Currie there then penalised them for then collapsing the maul. But Currie Bosch will kick this out in the 5, and they're going to have another chance and another go at it. Kevin Furen to Henko Fenter. Well, it's a good start to the maul. They were already within a couple of meters' time. I think this could be a try. They sort of break off towards the right. Kevin Furen's controlling at the back. Kevin Furen's over, and the try is awarded. Well, that was very easy. Far, far, far better set than the previous ball. And you can see as soon as they went down, they had the momentum. It was really well structured. They're showing Tuka Mkunu, but it was Kevin Furen, the man who then eventually grounded it. Solid work there from the Sharks. They haven't had a lot of opportunity. They haven't been particularly good in the last sort of 10 to 15 minutes, but they got their chance. They kicked to the corner, and now they've hit back. So 1 point deficit with the kick to come. And you can see the ball just shifting towards the right, then towards the left. It was very, very easy from them. It was so well set. Mo says, watching Sharks on Flow Rugby and York City Subway on their Wi-Fi. Love the dedication. Love the dedication there, Mo. So if you are looking, if you're outside of South Africa and you are trying to look, well, even if you're in South Africa and you're looking for a place to watch Currie Cup, you can use a VPN and then go and subscribe to something like Flow Rugby, or use a VPN outside South Africa and subscribe to DSTV Now, for example. We do have a link in the description for ExpressVPN if you want a special offer there. And I'll be doing a video on Monday on how you can watch South Africa versus Australia next week, Saturday, on a free-to-air broadcast through ExpressVPN, which is quite cool. It's a very, very good kick there from Currie and Bosch. The Sharks are back in the lead. 31 minutes and 35 seconds past, 10 points to 9. The Sharks back in the lead after being under a lot of pressure for sort of majority of probably the first half here. But as soon as they got the opportunity, they kicked to the corner. They had the confidence. They set up a really good rolling maul. And Kevin Verfuren has his first try of the match. Restock going quite deep towards Pepsi Buthelezi once again. But that's the 22, and it's hit pretty hard in the tackle. Oh, Nahamba almost fumbling that a little bit. I think fumbles it backwards, then trying to find touch. Doesn't find touch though. Ashland David underneath it. It's a very good take from him. Big tackle from Yao Penkley and Dylan Richardson, but really good work from the Griquas full back. The Griquas now on the front foot. Mayanka Ace has built the ball forward during the tackle from Pepsi Buthelezi. Now, can the Sharks counter attack? Well, Vernicock has grabbed it in behind, and George White is retreating under quite a lot of pressure. Gives it away towards Edwin Cato. He picks it up well. Gets away from Currie and Bosch. Brings in Kenny van der Merwe. Oh, the offload away to Edwin Cater. He's got Daniel Cassandra. He's got 3 players. This has to be a try. Surely towards the right. Oh, he skipped the pass. Back inside. Oh, that is horrendous. Well, it's still alive. It's still alive through Edwin Cater. But they've made a hash of this. But it's up to the 5 meter. The Greek will still have the ball. Stefan Unger now going to George Whitehead. Now there'll probably be space out wide if they can use. Jonathan Frankie steps inside. Grabs it towards the side. Ashland Davids. It sits up in Ashland Davids. Well, they made hard work of it, but they are over. The Griquas are over for their first try of the game. Well, end-to-end stuff. This all came from the 22. The kick in behind from Werner Koch. George Whitehead did really, really well to get back there. Ball inside from Edwin Cato. Kept it alive. Got through the break. Hands to Gideon van der Merwe. Went back to Edwin Cato. It was a 3-on-1 situation. But through a bit of a strange pass, instead of sort of going to the person next to him, you sort of cut the person out. And then Werner Koch was there. Oh, I think it's going to be a knock-on from Edwin Cater. Having said all that, it's a knock-on from Edwin Cater. So the pass from Chris Hollis was behind everyone. Werner Koch was retreating, picked it up, and as he popped it towards there, the knock-on then comes from Edwin Cater, who then picked it up and kept it alive. But I think it will be ruled out. It probably looks like a knock-on there from Edwin Cater. Well, it was a big moment there from the Griquas. Yeah, so it'll just be a knock-on. It wasn't deliberate or anything like that. So the try will be ruled out, unfortunately, from the Griquas. So it would have been a big moment in the game if that try had stood. It was really good from the Griquas to keep it alive. I'm not convinced it's forwards. It almost looked. I mean, so he's basically making the tackle and the pass. So he's facing Werner Koch. He's facing his own try line when he makes the sort of makes the hit. And I'm not convinced it goes forward. A bit of a 50-50 call there. But the Sharks are running it out for their own 22. They got inside to Yao Penkley, then kicks it ahead. As Dan Best said, no points, but they showed their ability in the counter. Yeah, it was some terrific work there from Edwin Cater. Now Daniel Cassandra, what can he do? Puts on the pace, gets wrapped up by Werner Koch. A bit of pressure. George Whitehead rounding him quite well. Decides to go to the boot, playing it a bit safer this time. And he does find, oh, that's a very good kick. It's bounced inside. It was almost a great touch fire. Like Lionel Cornier now. Got Thake Abrahams next to him. Runs into George Whitehead. So Sharks keeping alive on the halfway line. Roots carrying it up. Driven back to a certain degree, or he makes a couple meters forward and then gets to hold it. Oh, it's a big hit on Henko Fento. It's a bit of a messy pass. Somebody just sort of needs to take us to a line and just sort of, it's a nice hit on Nkunu from Jonathan Frankie, but there was a penalty advantage and a penalty being awarded now for offside. It's against 13, so it's against Chris Hollis. So it's a Sharks penalty on the halfway line. Yeah, just messy. Every single time it looks like we're going to be able to sort of get a bit of a decent passage of the game. And, Chris Hollis just straying offside there. And we talk about not giving away penalties and not giving away silly penalties. And for something as trivial as just straying offside, past the ruck, that's a really poor penalty to concede. That's a really good kick from Currie and Bosch. He's gotten themselves inside the 22, about halfway between the 22 and the try line. And with 5 minutes to go, this is a really good opportunity for the Sharks to try and open up a little bit of a lead. It's a pretty good maul defense there from the Griquas. The Sharks will have to use this. Nahama goes to Morris Lowe, who doesn't go. Oh, he bursts straight through the middle. He'll go over. Well, that is shambolic. That is horrendous defending from the Griquas. Morris Lowe strolled straight in between two players. He's gone over for the try, and after all the good work at chopping up the maul, that is horrendous defending. Far, far too easy. It was a bit of a show and go. He thought about passing and then decided to go himself, and he just bursts through the two players. I think it's Jonathan Frankie and Chris Hollis. No, it's Frankie and George Whitehead. Both of them just not good enough at all. Bit of a half tackle, and he strolls through. Thought about passing, then goes himself. Boom, bursts through Frankie and George Whitehead. There's nobody at home, no fullback to worry about. Underneath the poles, Marius Lowe goes over. The Sharks are on the board with the kick to come. And just before half-time, the Greek was thinking that they have scored a try, while the Sharks have gotten themselves towards the other end of the field, and they've gotten themselves a try as well. Right, 17 points to 9 in the 38th minute. Kevin says this game is opposite of yesterday's game. If win ugly, that most important. Yeah, well, look, it is very ugly rugby at the moment. I suppose, when it gets to playoff rugby, you kind of expect ugly rugby. I don't think you often get champagne rugby in semi-finals and finals. So it is to be expected to a certain degree. Last night, I thought we saw quite a good spectacle. I thought we saw some really good rugby from both sides at times. Today has been much more of a sort of traditional, messy playoff game where both sides have had their moments, but also making far too many mistakes. George White going very, very high towards Karan Krobler. He goes up. It's a good take from him. Roots will make his probably about his 10th carry of the day. Makes a couple of meters. Oh, but he spills the ball forward. It's a turnover ball from Moxon Cawley. Dumps on it. And it's a penalty for ripping the ball in the tackle. Playing the ball on the ground is the call there. It's a penalty against the Sharks. Could have been an interesting moment there with the Griquas had managed to turn it over. They would have been back themselves in the 22, but you can see that penalty now. Currie and Bosch will be able to pump this back towards Griquas territory, and look they could find themselves a penalty, get another 3-pointer, could go into half-time with an 11-point lead. Could also be looking for a bit more than that. It's a decent kick from Currie and Bosch. He gets it past the halfway. It'll actually land. I think it's about the 10-meter inside Griquas territory. So very much point-scoring opportunity here for the Sharks. Yeah, they're past the 10-meter line, so it's a nice opportunity that Currie and Bosch has presented them. They've got a minute now to either find themselves a try, get themselves a penalty, maybe kick some points over. Van Furen goes to Kroblot, another side line win here, trying them all again which has been pretty well defended so far from the Griquas, but this has looked much better from the Sharks. They're getting some go forward ball. Nahamba's there. He takes it out. He goes to Penkle. Penkle chips over the top. Angara spills it, and I think it actually comes with Angara, so I think it actually will be a Sharks put into the line out. It will be. So the Sharks are finding themselves the line inside the 22 now, so this is actually a really good attacking opportunity. They went down the blind side. Penkle trying to chip over the top. Stefan Angara read it pretty well, but then spinning the ball forward, well, spinning it out under pressure from Penkle. And they had two options there because it was a bit of a knock on there from Stefan Angara. So I think that they've given them the options, and Percy Buthelezi has backed his front row and asked for a scrum. So as the hooter is literally about to go, we will see an attacking scrum here from the Sharks right on the far right hand side. It'll be the last play of the half, and a very, very nice attacking opportunity, particularly after we just saw Marius Lowe sort of burst through his opposite centers and go over the try line. The Sharks will fancy themselves here, and for the Griquas, they cannot afford to concede a try. 70 points to 9 at halftime is very manageable, but you go down 22 or 24-9 down, suddenly you've got work to do. You know, you've got to try and score some early tries. You've got quite an uphill battle, as you will have a reset. Please do smash a like, by the way. We've got 130 people watching, and yet we've only got 16 likes. So please right now smash a like. Let's try and see if we can get up to 30 likes. Please do subscribe to the channel as well. If you're new, we're getting quite close to 6,500 subscribers. So if you haven't subscribed, please do subscribe. Sharks solo line up Penkle. Runs straight to Jonathan Frankie. It's a much better tackle from him. Ball's available inside the 22. LaRue Roots. So now we're going towards the left there, going towards the pod. Not much in the form of the back line. I think Lionel Cornell was thinking about sliding back into the pocket there. Ooh, and Edwin Cater going for the intercept. He's knocked it forward. It's been kept alive by Currie Bosch. Obviously, if the play, if the knock-on is called, it will go down to half-time. So it's available for the Sharks on the 22. It was pretty telegraphed. Edwin Cater managed to hold on to that. I think he was away. But the Sharks on the attack again. Hammer going to Lulu Roots. Lulu Roots then goes to Lionel Cornell. Decent pass to Lynn Richardson. Well read by George Whitehead. He's wrapped up by Whitehead and Smith. They go to Werner Koch now. Ooh, it's a big hit on him from Jonathan Frankie. The ball goes back. And advantage. There we go. Knock on there for the Humber as well. So double knock on. That will be half time. Half time down in Durban. The score is 17 points to 9 in favor of the home side. The Sharks. Tries through Kerry Van Vuuren and Marius Lowe have got themselves in the lead. The Griquas had a try ruled out. Ashton Davids did go over, but they did go out and rule it out on the knock-on, which I think some people will debate and wonder if it really was a knock-on. But that is the decision that has been made. We will return it very, very soon. Talk you through some stats like that. In the meantime, smash a like. We're 4 away from 30 likes. Get yourself up. Let's get ourselves up to 30 likes. Maybe try and hit 50 likes by the end of the video. And please do subscribe to the channel as well. We are just 21 people away from 6,500 subscribers. Don't go away. I'll be with you guys in just a few minutes. Right, welcome back to Forever Rugby on Forever Sports. Second half kicking underway very, very shortly between the Sharks and the Griquas down at Kings Park in Durban. The Sharks currently 17-9 points up ahead of the Griquas. And I think very much the Griquas still in this game. Very, very much still in this game. I think that they had some very good moments. That try being disallowed was probably quite a big moment in the game. So I think if they had scored that and the Sharks going on the other end and then scoring themselves, probably quite a sucker punch to a certain degree, but definitely still have a lot to play for in the second half. This Griquas side they've shown how deadly they are in the counter attack. I mean, you got Edwin Cater, Daniel Casenda, I think Ashland Davids. Anything can happen. I mean, Edwin Cater almost trying to sort of cause a bit of an intercept try towards the end of the other half, which could have been quite interesting. But the Sharks, I mean, I think things have sort of ebbed and flowed. If you look at the sort of the pattern of the game, we saw the Sharks scoring quite a few points in the early sort of stage of the game, and then the Greek was sort of getting back into it. But if you look at some of the stats, overall possession so far, 60% for the Sharks, 40% from the Griquas. Territory much the same as well. Meters run, more meters won by the Griquas, more defenders beaten as well. 2 clean breaks to 1. 31 gain line carries apiece. Far more passes from the Sharks, more offloads from the Griquas. 2 turnovers won by the Sharks, 1 from the Griquas. Pretty much the same amount of kicks from hand. And Ruck's one also pretty similar. If you're looking at the tackle success rate, nothing too special. The Sharks making 32 of 45 tackles, and the Griquas 46 of 60 at a 77% tackle success rate. George Whitehead will be kicking himself with that kick he missed in the first half. It wasn't particularly difficult, and he's left 3 points out there. 17-12 is a bit of a different game. Ruck success rate, both 97 and 96%, so not much talk about there. Lineouts, they've each lost a single lineout each. Been a bit messy scrums. The Sharks have lost a scrum, but they've been pretty pretty solid from both sides. The penalties conceded has been a bit of an issue. The Greek was conceding 13 penalties, 10 inside their own half. The Sharks conceding 7 penalties, of which 5 were in their own half. So probably, both sides need to sort of clean up the discipline a little bit. But apart from that, it's been a messy game. It's been a very, very messy game. Haven't exactly seen fantastic phase play, lots of phases, lots of really good work in the back line. It's been messy, but I think playoff rugby is often messy, and I think it's not particularly surprising that when two teams are so scared of making a mistake that they then make those mistakes. So there is still plenty to play for both sides, and I think that given the fact that it's been such an up and down Currie Cup, I would like to see the Griquas go through. I said at the beginning of the show, I really like the idea of an underdog. I don't think either of these sides can beat the Bulls the way they played last night. And as a result, I'd really like to see the Griquas go and give a go. Players like Edwin Cater, who's been one of the top try scorers this competition, he's going to the Sharks, and it'll be such a nice way for him to finish, I suppose, to be able to sort of say that we took them to the final. And when it gets to a final, I don't think these sides can beat the Bulls in theory if the Bulls play well. But if they can catch the Bulls off their guard or on an off day, there's no reason they can't try and create something a bit special. And it would be obviously far more special for the Griquas to go on and win the Currie Cup than it would be for the Sharks. If you just look historically, it's been 40 years since the Griquas lifted this trophy, 40 years since they've been in a final. So it would be absolutely massive. They can come back and win this game. Welcome back to Johnson's Kings Park, where the halftime score, if you've just tuned in, the Sharks are leading Griquas by 17 points. The sides are back on the field. We've got Lawrence R. Johnson on the side, so the first substitute there coming from the Sharks. So we've got a new tight head on the park. I'm trying to see. I think we'll if we see any other substitutions here. Let me know what your final score predictions are. I'll end the poll from what we said earlier at the beginning of the game. So this is what people reckoned was going to happen throughout the game right at the beginning. What have we gone with our poll? What has it got to say? The Griquas will now be playing left to right for the second half. Right, so 67% people of 152 votes reckon that the Sharks will win, 32% for the Griquas. So let's see what happens. I'll get to some of the comments on halftime right now. We're just waiting for kickoff here. Crazy Mona as well on for the Sharks. So 2 substitutions there. So it's 2 new props on for the Sharks. The whistle goes, and George Whitehead gets things back underway as he kicks towards the left-hand side of the park, back towards Pesi Buthelezi, which has been the case the entire game. So under the high ball, as always, is the Sharks' captain. And it's a penalty for holding on. Well, that is a brilliant way to start the half. A little bit isolated was Pepsi Buthelezi. It was a really good kick chase there. And I talk about the restart and how important it is. And that's an example of them getting the restart wrong. And Ruan Stierkamp is pointing immediately to the pole, says, let's make it 17-12. We'll come back here and we'll try and score some more points. Looking at some of the comments from half-time, Kevin said, this is probably a silly question. Do you agree, players, if they play for one union, they're not allowed jump ship to other union where loyalty in sport these days, my opinion? I think it's the reality of professional era sport. You know, money talks at the end of the day, but it's not just money. I think it's about opportunity. It's about finding the side that suits you the best. If you're sitting at a union as a second choice number 10, you could be the second best fly off in the country. But if the number one is the person ahead of you, you need to go find the right opportunity. You need to find the right coaches. Maybe you don't want, maybe you want a sort of change of scenery. So I don't really mind players jumping in and around. I think the days where players commit to unions for 10 to 15 years are gone. I don't think we'll see somebody like a Warren Whiteley who spent 10 years playing for the Lions, or sort of one union players. It's a very good kick from George Whitehead. Straight down the middle there, 17 points to 12. Hello, Katie Dixon. Welcome to the stream. Triox Gaming says only the Sharks can beat the Bulls. Griquas would lose badly. Look, I think the Sharks have also got the capacity to lose badly, to be fair. Katie used to say Griquas, sorry I wasn't here for the first half, Steve. No worries. Welcome to the second half. You didn't miss too much. It was pretty messy and a bit chaotic, but hopefully the second half will offer up a bit of a better spectacle. If Kiva 30 says, I don't know, TRX game, the Griquas were very competitive against the Bulls most of the game, and it was 30-26 till the Bulls blow them off. Yeah, so Crazy Mona and Lawrence Arjon are on for the Griquas. George Whitehead won the kickoff there, finding a bit of space down the left-hand side. Doesn't find touch, so Currie Bosch goes inside towards Pesi Buthelezi, who will take this into contact. Getting the Sharks up towards past the 10-meter. Bosch, their first receiver. Now they're going to cock, straightening. So the Sharks immediately on the attack. And the penalty to the Sharks. Well, there we go. So immediately the Sharks can try and extend that points difference once again. And they have played the points immediately. Currie Bosch trying to slot this over. And you talk about, I mean, it's not just the restart, but it's so important to keep your discipline in the early stages after a restart. You're going to get yourself some points. You know, you're giving yourself a chance to establish a bit of momentum. But like there, for example, not even 90 seconds after the penalty conceding another penalty right in front of the poles. All you've done is undone the good work you've done. A lot of duns in there, wasn't there? But Currie Bosch, we won't miss this. He's right up in front. Still got 26 minutes left on the clock, on the shot clock there. He's kicked 3 from 3 so far. It's 42 meters right in front, so expect this to go sailing over the middle. I lied, slightly to the left, maybe like a meter or two at the most. All right, let's see what Currie can do. Yep, he struck it well. Shut down the middle, and the Sharks move to 20 points. They keep that 8-point advantage alive. It's an important margin because it's more than a converted try. So that was the Greek was thinking. And Ruan Stierkamp pointed to the polls immediately. He said, let's get ourselves within a tries distance. And then anything can happen. You know, if you're within 7 points, anything can happen at any stage of the game. As soon as you sort of more than that converted try, suddenly things get a little bit more complicated for the opposition side. George Whitehead going quite far to the left. Brand Krobler did well. He ducks under the tackle as well. He read it very, very well to the Sharks lock. Sanda Humber going to Roots, the bigger of the two locks. It was ripped in the tackle. Oh, he's gone down and he's clutching his shoulders, Roots. That could be the end of his game. The whistle's gone. And I think it's because of the injury to Roots, who's now stood up. So, did they just give a penalty for? I'm not sure what the penalty is for. He had to talk to Ruan Stierkamp, talking about the fact that the players were having a go at the referee. But I mean, is that what he literally awarded the penalty to? It's a penalty for the Sharks, and Currie has found touch in the 10-meter. It's a good tackle by Eric Diaga. Then Kenny van der Merwe rips the ball in the tackle. Yeah, well, it's a minimum Messi line win there from the Sharks. Jal Penkler, the man who eventually takes the ball into contact. Hinko Fenton now puts his head down. It's a solid tackle on him from Smith and Ruan Steenkamp. Probably about the only thing that has been quite good is the defense has been, we've been seeing quite physical. A couple of players coming off their line, and Lionel Cornet has obliged, and George Whitehead's gulped that ball up, kicked it ahead. Jal Penkler being chased down by Stefan Ungra, and he knocks it on. So that's really, really good work by the Sharks, number 9. And they've turned the ball over as well. So Gideon van der Merwe has got the ball back for the Griquas. They've knock-on advantage. Ball goes to Moxon Currie, who goes back to George Whitehead, who goes over the top towards Ashton Davids. Davids going to Hollis. Hollis going himself, a bit of a leg drive, looking for support. It eventually comes in the form of Jonathan Frankie on his 100th appearance for the Griquas. Ashton Davids at scrum off, where he made a name for himself at the lines. Messi delivery back there from George Whitehead, a bit of back foot. And ball over the top from Stefan Ungra will bounce perfectly. Wow, jeepers. He must have been stressing a little bit, but he's kicked that ball out and has literally rolled into touch just in front of the corner flag. So it will be a 5-meter line out for the Sharks. But that was pretty poor from Lionel Cornet. George Whitehead came off his line and he's pretty much looked at him and said, I dare you to throw the pass. Lionel Cornet obliged. He threw it straight to George Whitehead, who then kicked it ahead. Very good kick chase from Stefan Ungra, putting Jal Penkler under a lot of pressure. And a bit of a messy line out there from the Sharks, but Gebran Grobler does win it back on the 5 meters. And then now going to Henko Fenter. He goes straight down. They're trying to sort of create a bit of an angle for Lionel Cornet or Curran Bosch. He goes back towards Lionel Cornet. Now, that's a very good clearance from Lionel Cornet. Edwin Kate takes it quickly. Ashland Davids links up, goes towards Daniel Cassenda, slightly behind Daniel Cassenda, who then won't get away from Werner Koch. He's slightly isolated, but Gideon van der Merwe is there to help him out. Edwin Kate picks up and goes himself. Needs a bit of support. It does arrive. Griquas back in Sharks territory. Stefan Ungra going to his fly half. White is skipping out the one place. Janka Ace fumbles it and then regathers and takes it to the line. Right up at the touchline. Ashland Davids coming to inside to Moxon Currie, who's wrapped up, gets the ball away in the tackle, and RJ Smith with his leg drive gets up to the 22 meters on the left-hand side of the park. Pick up and go on Moxon Currie. He's very isolated. Oh, good hands, good hands, good hands. Sergio goes himself. Can he get grounding? I don't think he can. There's a lot of Sharks bodies there. They're trying to recycle territory. Edwin Cater is thinking about going. Stefan Ungra is waiting for someone. He's trying to get that ball out. Advantage now for the Griquas. They're right up in the try line. Pick up and go. RJ Smith, he does get over. The try is awarded. Well, it's RJ Smith that's gone over. The Griquas hit back. Very, very good work there. It was good to then keep it alive. We saw them put them under pressure with that. And this almost sort of stems back to Stefan Ungra and George Whitehead, because that was where the pressure was created. From the 5-meter line out, Lionel Cornet finds a decent touch finder, but Edwin Cater decides to take it quickly. Couple of decent phases. They go down the left, find a bit of space, good handling. I think it was Edwin Cater, Sergio out there, and then the pick up and go from Smith. The initial hit from Grobler was good, but then he had the nobody ahead of him did. RJ Smith had a second go at it, grounded on the line. The Griquas are over. It's a 3-point game, and George Whitehead can try and make it a 1-point game. Game on. Game on. Let's catch up the clock a little bit. We're just past the 49-minute mark. It's a very important, no one says it's a very important kick, but this gets them within 3. George Whitehead starts very far right. It's going to come back and it's going to pull to the left. Was trying to sort of pull it, sort of draw it a bit like every single golf shot that I want to fade goes towards the left. Started it very right and pulled it towards the left. There's George Whitehead. So that's the second kick he's missed today, but it's just the handling here. And Sergio decided to just go himself. 3 Sharks players that needed to stop him. Well, game on. I said that the Griquas were out of it, and the fact that they scored the first, they both scored 3 points apiece, but the fact that they got the first try is a big moment as the restart from the Sharks goes very far towards. Oh, Lindsay has knocked it on. Dylan Richardson's jumped onto it. The ball inside. He has been put into touch, but it will go back for the knock on. I talk about this all the time. You cannot score a try and then butcher the restart. All that RJ Smith has done here, and this, I mean, there's no excuse. It was literally right here. I mean, just cradle the baby, mate, into the breadbasket. He spilt it forward, and the Sharks have immediately got an attacking scrum on the 22 meters. Very, very poor there from the Griquas lock. You cannot make that mistake. You can't score a try and then allow them straight back at the 22. Don't undo the good work you've just done. It's a coach killer. It's a coach killer. Scott Matty will not be happy over there in the coaching box. Tell you who will be happy is me. If 17 of you lovely people will go and subscribe to the channel and get us up over past 6,500 subscribers, and if you keep smashing the like button as we wait for the reset scrum. Yeah, first scrum of the half actually. Kwesi Mana and Lawrence Arjansa were packed down for the first time this match. Up against Diaga and Moxham Corley. And we have a reset there. For the Sharks. The Sharks are the first one to react with their substitutions, bringing on Lawrence Arjansa in that front row, Kwesi Mana for the Tunu. Not a relation from both, but in Tunu. Solid scrum from the Sharks. They got a bit of front foot ball. Yeah, here it comes through. That's a huge scrum. There's the advantage. Nahamba picks up and goes. Goes to Marius Lowe. Goes to Lana Cornier. Cornier ball over the top. Yeah, Penke decides to run towards inside angle. He's still going. Penke. He's wrapped up by, I think it was Kenny van der Merwe who made the tackle there. Werner Koch at scrum off. Kieran van Vuren goes himself. They've got a penalty advantage to do from the Sharks after that massive scrum. Nahamba didn't mention taking it at pace, but it's a solid tackle on him. Now Nahamba goes to Henko Fenta. Henko Fenta puts his... Oh, that's a big hit on him as well. Well, the Griquas have been very physical on the defense. I'll give them that much so far. Pick up and go. And they'll go back for the penalty there. Well, it's a big scrum. So far, that call sort of vilified. Time off there. Oh, we're down here. I think it's only Sergio will stay down. Well, Pepsi Buthelezi, and I quote, talking to his players, telling them to keep it down, and all you hear from the mics is, "Shut up, please." This doesn't look good for Sergio. He was pretty instrumental in the try scored as my goodness me, well, there we back. I was about to say my stream goes down a bit slightly, but he doesn't look happy at all. I think we will see a change here. Just Henko Fenta. It was a big tackle here by RJ Smith on Henko Fenta. Not entirely sure where the injury to Sergio actually comes. A little bit of oxygen to Hanu Sergio, which would probably mean that could potentially be a broken leg or something. I'm not quite sure what part of his self was actually injured. It's a huge scrum here. Lawrence Arjansa, who's somebody I've never particularly rated very highly, but he absolutely, well, him and Blooming Kwesi Mana have absolutely decimated that Griquas scrum. So it's a good change so far from Sean Everett. Well, the replacement is on. We've got the golf cart on. Still no movement on the ground there from Hanu Sergio. Man, must be so horrible to injure yourself in the last game of the season, you know, like. So it's Johannes Momsen that's just come onto the field in place of Hanu Sergio, who played quite a big role. That you see, we were watching the try there from the Griquas. It was good hands from Edwin Cater, and Sergio was the man who got themselves all the way up to the halfway line before the pick up and go eventually came from RJ Smith. Still taking quite a while here to try and get Hanu Sergio off. As soon as you see somebody receiving oxygen, you know it's not particularly good. Well, it says he's walking off. It's his arm. His arm is all strapped up and stuff like that. Well, it's good to see him walk off the park, but I don't think we're going to see him on a rugby field anytime soon. So all our best to Hanu Sergio. Hopefully it's nothing too serious and he's back on the park for the Griquas very, very soon. So we start with a scrum. I mean, with a penalty towards the Sharks. Currie and Bosch going to knock this into the corner, which is interesting because they could just take the points. Obviously, backing their pack on the back of a very good and very dominant scrum. You can see Currie from Fury running quite quickly. They want to get the game going here to the Sharks. And two replacements in the front row for... No, in fact, it's all new front row for the Griquas who have taken off Diaga, Ace, as well as Box and Currie. And this is a really good down. Currie from Fury is over. It's so easy. It's so easy. The Sharks have used them more really well. They've stuck to it throughout the match. It's a second for Currie from Fury. The Sharks are ahead. It's a good decision to go to the points. And the Griquas pack, well, they fronched up relatively well in the first half, but now, you know, starting to see a few cracks there. And you can see that the maul just always going towards the right. Splinters off. Percy Buthelezi leading the charge there. Currie from Fury far too easy. And they just waltz over and he goes down for his second of the game. And suddenly now it becomes a much bigger task for the Griquas. Kevin says that happens all the time. Score a try, then they give points right back after restarted. Well, the Griquas will need to hope that the Sharks do something similar. Guys, how good was that intercept pass from Whitehead? Come on, Griquas. Well, in terms of that, how good was the intercept or how good was the pass from Lionel Cornier? Because the pass from Lionel Cornier was fairly terrible. I don't know why he threw it. I mean, he saw George Whitehead was there, and then he tried to go over, and instead he just threw it straight to him. So a bit of a strange call there from Lionel Cornier to have actually played that pass in the first place. But so far, it doesn't seem like it's going to be too serious as Currie and Bosch can kick themselves into a 10-point lead over the Griquas with 27 minutes left on the clock. Oh, that is a horrible kick. Well, that is a horrendous kick. Well, the kick was about as straight as Elton John, and it's sort of towards the right-hand side, and he was missed out, Currie and Bosch, and he's kicked very well today, and that wasn't a particularly difficult kick at all, but it sailed off towards the right. Clark Matty was not happy with conceding that try at all. 25 points to 17 is where the score remains, an 8-point advantage that we have seen for most of the game. Cameron Wright, meanwhile, is on for the Sharks in place for Senna Humber. Not his best game at all from the young scrum half. Almost a bit of a mess from the restart, but Krobler there eventually taking it second time. Cameron Wright's first contribution will be to box kick from the base of the ruck. He can't go into touch, doesn't have safe to the 22, so he puts it up high in the air and makes it competitive. And it looks like it does stay in. It's a knock-on from Yao Penkle. First contribution from Momsen is to try and get the Greeks on the front foot. Stefan Unger throwing a wide pass out to Kenny van der Merwe, who also throws himself a wide pass. Oh, Ruan Stierkamp knocking it forward. They should go back to the initial knock-on there from Yao Penkle. If you're taking that, I think things could have been a little bit interesting. Ed Marnigal says, come on, Griquas. Kay Dixon says, Griquas, I believe. Isukiva says, now the Griquas can get a penalty and a converted try. It was a bit of a strange kick there. Nobody seemed to sort of compete for it. And if Ruan Steenkamp had taken that, I think life could have been a bit interesting. He had a bit of space on the right-hand side there. Sharks' defensive line didn't look like it was particularly well set up. They will go back for the initial knock on, which was from Yapenkle, so it will be a Griquas put into the scrum. And just looking at the handling areas there, 6 from the Sharks, 7 from the Griquas, shows you how messy of an affair this game has been. Just 15 people away from 6,500, so hopefully we'll try and get there by the end of it. We will be live tomorrow morning. I've set my alarm. I'll get up, and I think it's the first Australia-New Zealand game I'm going to be doing with you guys. So that'll hopefully be quite cool. We will not be live tomorrow night for our new show, nor Monday night. Unfortunately, I have to work and earn some money. But we will be live on Tuesday and on Wednesday, I think. No, not Wednesday. Tuesday, Thursday, and then next weekend, obviously, with the Rugby Championship. 2 games next weekend. The Currie Cup final on Saturday as well. So lots to look forward to. Also have football back quite soon. So a lot of stuff to get excited about over the next week as my stream is currently frozen. What's going on here, people? Right, there we go. So it's going from the Griquas. Front foot ball, Jonathan Frankie. He's a big unit as Jonathan Frankie. Not his best carry, though. Driven back there. Stefan Ungerer giving it to Johan Mumsen for his second carry of the day. It's much better. Quick ball from Ungerer. That's better carry here from the Griquas. Much better intent. Daniel Costanza was well read by Werner Koch. He's running a good angle, but he runs into Werner Koch and Pepsi Buthelezi. You stop him in his tracks. Johan Mumsen with his 3rd carry since coming on. Oh, come on. That's surely going to be a penalty. I mean, Hoblo has disrupted that so much. A bit of an inside ball there from Whitehead. Edwin Cater searching for space. Almost seems to find it. Ungerer going towards the right now. RJ Smith is putting his head down, running into Pepsi Buthelezi and Hoblo. Griquas need something a little bit different here. That would be an inside ball to Daniel Costanza, which is knocked on. So turnover ball. Now, Dylan Richardson gets over to Thakai Abrahams. First time we see Thakai Abrahams today. He's still going as Thakai Abrahams. Trying to find a bit of support. Doesn't find it. Eventually gets pulled down just past the 10-meter line inside Griquas territory. Bullet pass to Cameron Wright. Lionel Cornelius going quite deep to Morris Lowe. Not much on for Morris Lowe. Steps inside Momsen. Now steps inside. Gets the way to Cameron Wright. Cameron Wright's going. What's Cameron Wright going to do? He's half stopped by Ashland Davis, but they're right inside the 22 out of the Sharks. Kwesi Mona at scrum half. It's not a great passing behind there, and he's left it behind there. It's Henko Fenter, so I think there will be a knock on surely by the Sharks. Yeah, I'm about to say, it will be a Griquas scrum knock on there from Henko Fenter. Almost a really good counter-attack there from the Sharks. And the Griquas just were trying to find something new, and that came in the form of an inside ball to Daniel Costanza. He was running a decent line, but just didn't even... No, I didn't even come close to it. And then just that's the worst, isn't it? And he ran into LaRue Roots and Kern from Furen. And just because it's not bad enough that you knocked it on, they then decide to go and dump him. So Costanza has not had a particularly good 2 minutes. A really good counter-attack here from the Sharks. Crazy Mono at scrum half. Well, you're never going to see Aaron Smith stuff from him, are you? And then Henko Fenter being a bit lazy and trying to sort of pick the ball off the ground and knock it on. If he had just sort of dove on it, they could have maintained the possession in a decent position. The medics are on again. I think it's Daniel Costanza getting some attention. Are you going to run yours onto the park? So that's Stefan Ungerer's into the game. I thought he played pretty well, actually, to Stefan Ungerer. He's a nice player when he plays well, is Ungerer. He has his moments, a little bit hot-headed at times, but genuinely quite a good, quite a reliable scrum half. Obviously, quite big sort of shoes to fill as Zach Berger, who was the captain of the Griquas a year ago, has now playing his part. Well, he'll be playing in the Currie Cup finals. Edwin Cater, that was getting the treatment, is up. Thacker Abrahams, meanwhile, is getting a new jersey. France Schipper says, not good rugby at all. Sharks will take this one by 15. Yeah, it hasn't been a spectacle, I must admit. I'm not going to tell my kids about the quality of this game. Yeah, I think Edwin Cater's day has come to an end. He still stood up and he wants to continue, but he's not going to be able to. So he will be replaced by Ederiso Aronsa, I'm sure. And that could very well be his last game in a Griquas jersey. He is scheduled to link up with the Sharks later this year for the URC. Kevin says, why don't you make this like permanent job? You're very good at this, very talented, make income at the end of the day. I'd love to, and I appreciate it. Appreciate the sentiment, the compliment. We just don't make nearly enough money from this at the moment. So I'd love to. If you said tomorrow, You don't have to work, and you can just do this full time. I will do this full time. I would love nothing more than to do this full time. But until we get a lot more members, a lot more viewers, a lot more subscribers, unfortunately, it's just not really feasible. I need to do things like attempt to play golf and buy beer. You know, those essentials. Big scrum there from the Sharks. They've won the penalty, and Dylan Richardson is very, very hyped up. That's a turning point in the game, really. You see the two front rows from the Sharks. It's Bernardo and Son, Crazy Mono, who've come on and changed the game. It's another massive scrum. They've won the penalty. Pesi Buthelezi, he's very mature as Pesi Buthelezi. You can see a couple of people, Cameron Wright, thinking, well, maybe should we go for the corner? And Pesi Buthelezi says, no, don't be stupid. We're going to go for the points. It's semi-final rugby. We don't need to do anything silly here. Let's take the points. Let's keep building up our lead. Let's get ourselves into a final, shall we? And what a big moment for Pesi Buthelezi, who led the Sharks twice against the British and Irish Lions, could very well be leading them out to a Currie Cup final at the young age of just 22. And I think, I think Evan Roos had an absolute stormer of a season, but I think Pepsi Buthelezi has been one of the biggest sort of prospects we've seen. I mean, it sounds weird to say he's come of age, but in his debut season, even then, we've seen a player who's developed into a really good all-round individual. Good leader, good set of shoulders, very solid hard worker, not maybe the most flair player. And I think that's why Evan Roos gets a lot of attention, because he's just got that power, that sort of X factor on the ball and his ball carrying ability as they go straight through the middle there from. He took too long. He's taken too long. Oh, well, Currie Bosch, that's a horrendous moment. So the shot clock has run down. Currie Bosch sailing through the middle. You can complain all you want, mate. You had 60 seconds to take the kick and you didn't. So, I mean, you could do a lot in 60 seconds. I'll leave that up to you. Whatever you guys do in 60 seconds, I'll leave that up to you. But apparently, Currie Bosch takes longer than 60 seconds to take a penalty. So, read into that what you will. But we will resume with a scrum. Far too long there from Currie Bosch. That's such. I mean, as a coach, cheap. I mean, imagine they lose us by 2 points. Imagine they lose us by 2 points because Currie Bosch took too long to take that kick. I'll be throwing punches in the change room. Just cheers, mate. Probably just sell him, to be honest. In the morning, I'd phone the Western Province. Listen, are you guys still looking for a fly half? Because I've got one that takes a long time to take a kick and he's available. But interesting. Currie Bosch ruining his block chances. I mean, yeah. Look, I mean, I'm not going to say that. It's just so stupid. Why do it? How can you take that long? How can you make that kind of mistake? It wasn't even a particularly difficult kick. For somebody who hits the ball as well as Currie Bosch, I reckon he could take 3 steps back and 3 steps forward and put 95% of his kicks over anyway. So there's no need to take that long. And the Griquas continue to survive as we reach the last 20 minutes or so of the game. We're going to run here with the ball in hand. Quite deep inside their own half here, the Griquas. So probably look to try and kick it. George White will probably look to try and play a bit of territory game. It's a solid scrum there from the Griquas. They go down the blind side, Judge Daniel Casenda. Steps inside of Cameron Wright. He's racked up by Henko Fenter. And Jan Momsen helps him out to get to the 10-meter. Now Ranya back towards Whitehead. Not the greatest pass. And they've given a straight. Oh, my living. It was really, really poor pass from Jonathan Frankie towards Ashland Davids, who then tried to sort of basically bump it along, and he just bumped it forward. It's Chris Hollis, the man who's apologizing. And I think it was Chris Hollis, in fact, the man who threw the pass there. It was a really, really poor pass. Oh, well, here he is, Timberlani Bowley. The wrecking ball is on in place of Henko Fenter. Da, 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 da. Right, so scrum here for the Sharks. Their scrummaging's been really, really good since Lawrence R. Johnson and Kwesi Mona came on. So they'll be looking to try and get a penalty here. Maybe Currie Bosch will take less than 60 seconds to slot it. And it's gone straight down there. So we'll have it's a penalty against the Griquas, actually. It looked like it was going to be a reset, but that's a big moment. That's a big moment. Well, it's a big moment for the Griquas. Illegal binding is the penalty against the Sharks. So George Whitehead will be able to pump this down to Sharks territory. But 18 minutes to go. The Griquas need a try and a penalty. So the big thing is for Whitehead to get themselves into Sharks territory. He does that. If they can get a penalty in the next sort of 10 minutes, then anything can happen. Anything can happen. You can see it just takes a while. They eventually go down. Lawrence Argion's head's chilling on the ground, and eventually the penalty does come, and it's against the Sharks. Now, Jamie Ward's on the park, I'd imagine in place of Marius Lowe, given the way that Werner Koch is defending. I would be very surprised they're going to make that sub. They go towards the back, and they're giving the ball straight back to the Sharks, have the Griquas. That's a really, really, really bad error. And a penalty as well for coming in skew at the ruck. Well, that's poor. That's poor. You've been given the opportunity to get yourself into a decent area. Try and close the gap, and then you can see the penalty. Well, then first of all, you give away the line out, and then you can see the penalty. So that's pretty amateur from the Griquas. And says, who do you think will win in the final of a Sharks versus Bulls? So you got to back the Bulls, don't you? At home, they're playing unbelievable rugby. Their pack is so good. The depth is ludicrous when you think of some of the players that might not even play next weekend. So you got to back the Bulls. And look, I think if Jake White's watching this game, he's thinking that I can beat either of these sides. Then there's been nothing particularly impressive today. It really has not been a fantastic sort of demonstration of the quality of Currie Cup. It's semi-final rugby, so I'm not going to complain about it. It comes with the territory, but I think Jake White will think that they can definitely get into either of these sides and get stuck in. Good more defense there from the Griquas, but the Sharks do have it as Marius Lowe takes into contact. So Werner Koch is still on. So I think Jamie Ward's actually come on for one of the wings. That's a pretty poor. Well, yeah, Pinkley is on there as well. So I think that there's a knock on there from the Sharks. So it will be a Griquas scrum quite deep inside their own territory. Reno Hugo's on the field and made the knock. I'm just trying to work out who Jamie Ward's come on for. I think, it's Thake Abrams. Werner Koch has shifted to the wing, and Thake Abrams has gone off for Jamie Ward. Kids, oh my goodness, Currie, you go back to basics. His form has dropped so badly. I mean, Currie Bosch a year ago was the best fly half in the country. Definitely not the case at the moment. I think he needs a move. I think he needs a fresh start, to be honest. I think he needs to go back to number 10 and play every single week there and be backed. And unfortunately, look, Lionel Kinnear's there on loan. So in theory, he leaves. Could be after this match if they were to lose. Whether he'll come back for the URC has not been decided yet. He said he's keen to play, but they haven't made any official agreement. We're going to have a reset scrum here. The time is off as Marius van Westhuizen has a chat to the front rows and says, sort of cuck out. Right, the reset here, and it's gone down again. It's another penalty for the Griquas, and I think it's on Lawrence Argion's side again. So RJ Smith had a couple of pats in the back there, and blooming Lawrence Argion says not happy with life. He's shoving, he's throwing his toys out the cot. I think Morris from the West is getting a little bit pedantic here, to be honest. It was a penalty conceded by Lawrence Argion, so RJ Smith gave him a pat on the back to say, well done. It's pretty standard, really. And Lawrence Argion decides to take exception. He shoved him. He had some words with somebody else. I don't think there's much in there. Morris from the West isn't sitting there saying it's not in the spirit of the game. I think it's a pretty ordinary. You can see he just goes there, gives him a bit of a tap on the back. There's nothing in that. Right, well, line-out time. 11 penalties conceded by the Sharks, 10 by the Griquas, according to the Supersport stats. They have won the line-up there, going to Currie in front of Merva. Griquas trying to... I don't think we've seen anybody more here from the Griquas so far. It's broken off there. Right, what can the Griquas do here? Still inside their own half. Frankie is wound up there by Temalani Bori. Jan Momsen now carrying it over. That's a solid carry as they get themselves up towards the halfway line. Now going back towards the left-hand side. Whitehead and Ruan Steenkamp has knocked the ball on, catching the ball behind. So it's turnover ball to the Sharks. Now what can they do in the counter-attack? Lionel Cornelia throws it out wide to Kieran Bosch, who brings in now Werner Koch. Werner Koch on the wing now is wrapped up by the halfway line towards the left-hand side. Advantage is over from the knock-on. Little deft pop there from Lionel Cornelia to Louis Roots, who makes meters as he always does. Cameron White, Lionel Cornelia. Kieran Bosch, Richardson running on pace, gets up to the 10-meter line. Very good continuity here from the Sharks. Cameron White going down the blind side. Jamie Ward carrying it up. A little bit isolated. Kenny van der Merwe has got his hands over that ball and he wins a penalty. We've hardly seen him today, Kenny van der Merwe. He's been one of the Griquas' best players for this season, last season, and the last couple of years. And that's a very, very big penalty to win on the ground, inside the half. And the Griquas, well, look, they've still got a lot to do to get back into this game and give themselves a chance of winning it. But they're holding on. They are holding on. So George White will be able to get them a bit further down the field than they have been in the last couple of minutes. He finds touch. Looks like it's going to be about on the 10-meter line. So they're inside Sharks territory. And this is where they need to try and find themselves a penalty. Get themselves a penalty, knock it over, make it 25 points to 20, and then you've got to look for that try. Or you look for another penalty, and then then you can get yourself within a penalty to win it towards the end. So give yourselves the chance. That's what the Griquas need to do. They need to give themselves the chance. First things first, they need to make sure they win this line-out. Their line-out work has not been particularly good throughout the competition. Andre van Rooyen needs to find his jumper, which will probably be it is Smith at the back. Ruan Steenkamp takes it though. Jonathan Frankie very, very flat. Ran straight into Richardson. It's a very good tackle there from the Sharks, number 6. Quick ball there. Jan Momsen. Oh, he's burst through. He's burst through as Momsen. He's got to play on the inside. He's been brought down by Lionel Cornelia. Greek was in 5 meters out. 5 meters out. Can they do something? Oh, he's played the scrum off. That's a penalty advantage. That will be a yellow card. Yellow card to Marius Lowe. That's poor from him. That's silly from him. Well, they almost went over. That's a desperate tackle from Lionel Cornelia. Fantastic intervention from the scrum, from the fly half. And then Marius Lowe playing the scrum off there as Regan Aranyas trying to take it quickly. It's right in front of the pole. So George Whitehead will surely knock this over. This could be a turning point. This is a big moment in the game. Take the points. Ruan Steenkamp, you take the points, chap. They're gonna tap and go. Well, they're gonna go for it. They're going to go for it. I'll add the yellow card to the scoreboard. They go to Landry van Rooyen. I'm not sure why you're tap and go. You need more than a penalty try, a converted try away from this. So I would have taken the 3 points. I think it's semi-final rugby, but they've taken it quickly. They're playing against 14, so they're backing themselves. And there's Sharks players all over that ball. And you see, I told you, that was such a stupid decision to do. You take the points. You are 8 points away. You don't have the luxury of taking a tap and go. You take the 3, you get back to, and then you come back and you play against 14 men. That's what you need to do. Pepsi Buthelezi has captained this game brilliantly. Ruan Steenkamp, I think that's a big error today. To have not taken the points there, I think, is a massive, massive mistake, and they've already paid the price. Right, so the other card for the Sharks. They'll finish the game with 14 men, but I think that is so... That's just so point. Like, why? It's literally right in front of the poles. He could have dropped it, gone back, had the kickoff, and come back again. But instead, they've not scored any points. They've conceded the possession. The Sharks have kicked themselves back up to the 10-meter line. They've got possession. They can slow things down. They can now play the game at their pace as they go to the routes the front of the line-out. That's a massive, massive more. It's going to be a penalty stopping this. No, well, it is stopped, but Cameron Wright does use it. Lionel Cornelia. The Roots, once again, they got a penalty advantage here from the Sharks. It's all operating for them, and I think the Griquas, that could have been it for them, to be honest. I know there's got 9 minutes to go, but that was a big point. They should have had 3 more points. They should have still been in the game. Decided not to take the points. Knock on there. So go back for the penalty, and I think that's it. I think if they lose the game within 2 points or whatever, you'll go back and say that was the moment where they lost it. Where's the Bulls' weakness? Perhaps the Bulls have off-day Bulls scrum pretty good, backline pretty impressive. Well, look, the Western Province scored points yesterday. So at the end of the day, if you want to beat the Bulls, you've got to front up. You've got to be able to make sure that your scrum's all right, your set piece all right. And you probably have to try and exploit their backline to a certain degree. Defensively, I think that, they're pretty solid, are the Bulls. But we saw Andrew Hugo score a try of the more yesterday. We saw Edel van der Merwe score a hat trick. So that would then tell you that there are some fragilities in the Bulls' defense if you do go out wide. Currie Bosch lining out the penalty here to take the game well and truly away from the Griquas. And if this was ever a time to take your 60 seconds, Currie, this is the time. Esmakiba said, I believe the Griquas would score. David Goddard says, H Pepsi doing his Banana Boys proud. That's a much better kick there. The last kick was decent. It just took too long. But 28 points to 17. The Sharks definitely in the driving seat with 8 minutes to go. Can you imagine if the Griquas win this game and go on and beat the Bulls? What an upset that would be. It would have been nice. I think the opportunity has gone, though. If they want to know how to beat the Bulls, just ask Benetton. Yeah, it's a good point. Yeah, Bentley under the restart there, taking it well. Well, the Griquas now have to score 2 tries. That's the equation, isn't it? So they're playing against 14 men. They're going to try and turn the ball over here. It's a huge hit on Lawrence Adrian, so they're going to score a try here and they get themselves back into danger territory. A converted try puts them on 24 points, so they'll still need another try. Oh, it's a phenomenal kick from Cameron Wright. And he's pinned the Griquas all the way back inside their own half. David Goddard says, will Bismarck be joining before the final? He might join the union, but he won't be able to play the final. You can't just join on Tuesday and play on Saturday. So if he does join in the next week or two, he'll only be available for URC. Right. Well, almost 6 minutes left from the Griquas. You need, and they need to go all the way to the end, score a try, and then still have time to try and have another one. What long pass to Hollis is wrapped up there. Orange had to come off his line to help out. So it's slow ball here from the Griquas, not making a lot of ground here. Oranje going to Momsen, who goes behind to Jonathan Frankie. We try and find his hands free. Kenny van der Merwe. Sorry, it's RJ Smith who eventually takes it down to ground. Regan Oranje goes to the left again. It's Frankie again. Ball over the top to Casenda. Casenda's got a bit of space ahead of him. Almost gets away from Cameron Wright. Does get himself up into Sharks territory. It's a decent run from the wing. Sorry, they are still in their own half. That was the halfway. That's a penalty there for being offside. And you see, now, if they're taking the 3 points and not conceded the 3 points against the Sharks, all of a sudden they would have had a penalty with 5 minutes to go, and they could be kicking it towards the corner now to try and get that try to win it. Now George Whitehead's got themselves a decent kick there from him, just in front of the 22 there. Cameron Wright just going and playing the scrum off. Pretty stupid from him. Chance to be is on. Dan Euster is on as well. Cameron Lindsay's on the park as well. And Jonathan Frankie departs. And injury, Cameron Wright has done a shoulder, so he's also leaving the park. Time is off, so it looks like Tanina Hamburg could potentially be rejoining.
be interesting because they can't bring that more tactical substitution. So the only player they have on the bench, Anthony Coleman, who normally plays in the halfback day.
So if Cameron Wright does depart, it looks like Anthony Folnick will have to come onto the park.
He's a natural scrum. Quick drop for the final. This is disappointing, man. So trying to work this out. I mean, clearly, in some things, he should not get injured.
Yeah, so Cameron Wright is departing the field.
A sad moment for the youngster. Thank you. Semi-final.
Right, so Folnick is on the park. We also need to decide what our definition of the youngster is. I mean, I think that was, the commentator is just saying that it's a sad moment for the youngster to go off. He's 27 years old. Having said that, I'm 25 now, so if 27 is young, I'm actually all in for that. I'll take it all back. 27 is young people. Let's move. Forget I said that. We're moving. Anyway, the Griquas have got the line up there. They go straight to Cameron Lindsay at the front. They're getting pushed towards the touchline, so they need to try and use it. This ball's going to go out. There's a penalty advantage, though, so that will help. And a penalty there for the Griquas. I need to put my clock back on. So George White, he needs to hurry this up here. Get themselves close to the line. Remember, they're still playing against 14 men here, the Griquas, so they can get a try. Don't say never, but I just think that they should have taken those 3 points. Kevin says Griquas blow it, should have gone 3 points. I think if they score a try now, they'll look back at that moment and think, we stuffed it up. We shouldn't have done that. So they went to the front of the line again. Once again, Cameron Lindsay. Now, can they get a try quickly? Well, it's gone straight down. Not been collapsed, though. Timberladi Bordy has then jumped all over that ball. So they've been told to use it, but they can't get that ball out, and it's been turned over. So there we go. That's a really good turnover. Well, Timberladi Bordy was the man who could see the penalty first, and as soon as that ball went straight down from the Griquas, he was entitled to play it. He does. He gets over, gets his arms around there, gives it a good hug, and they've conceded possession. They have the Griquas, and I think that is it, basically. So it really has been a case of close but no cigar for the Griquas. I think that they've had sections where they could have scored. They'll look back and they'll think, should Ashlon Davis' try been ruled out? But I think that the frustration was probably not taking those 3 points, then conceding 3 points. That was just the turning point. I think the Sharks down to 14 men. You take the 3 points, you receive the kickoff, and then you've got yourself 8 minutes to play to find yourself a try against a 14-man side. Surely the equation there is just so much better.
Bosch is dropping 2 men deep in the pocket for the pass.
Right, so Currie Bosch is currently flinging a scrum half after Cameron Wright left the field with an injury, with Sena Umber already being. But it's a big shove here from the Griquas, desperately trying to win a penalty, but it is used not the greatest pass to Lionel Cornier, who does find touch. Not a great touch finder, so the Griquas have a chance, but with 3 minutes left on the clock, you'd think it's too much to. They'd have to score now, and then they're going to have to go the full length of the field again. They can't just. Even a converted try takes you to 24, so they can't score a try, then get a penalty, and try and even draw it. For example, Marius Lowe could yet come on. He's got a minute and a half left, so he can come on for the last minute of the game. So the Griquas have 2 minutes and 12 seconds to try and do something here. It's a much better set more there. They needed that the first time. Kenny van der Merwe's got the ball in hand. It's going it's quite sideways, but now finds a bit of momentum. They're still going. Well, they're over. Well, they're over. And this is what I'm saying. If they're taking the points earlier, that would have been a potentially huge moment. Johan Momsen, I think the man who's got it. 28 points to 22. We've got 2 minutes left on the board. I mean, the kick doesn't matter. The kick literally doesn't matter. Oh, I mean, it does. But the big thing is they need to go try and score another try. So George Whitehead needs to knock this over. They need to receive it. And with 90 seconds left on the clock, they then need to go and score another try. It doesn't have to be converted if they convert this. So I suppose the kick does matter. But the important thing is to give themselves the time. And the Sharks will go very deep off the kickoff. Well, Whitehead, no issues. He has the extras. Right, 28 points to 24. We've got a minute and 10 seconds left. 70 seconds for the Griquas to try and score a try. Can they do it? I mean, for all that this has been a really messy and not a phenomenal quality of game, we could be heading for a really interesting finish. Well, look, at the beginning of the stream, we asked for a close game. That's all we wanted. We wanted it to be close. 28 points to 24 is a really good close game. I think the Griquas could actually have won this. I think that they'll look back and think that decision-making, they probably could have won this. So as we expected, Currie Bosch goes pretty deep. Ruas didn't come under a lot of pressure. It does spill it sideways. I don't think it went forward, so it is available for the Griquas. So job one, tick. They've got the ball. Remember, they just need a try. They've got 25 seconds, but they just need a try. They don't need to worry about the conversion. Any try will do. But they've got a long way to go to get there. Tennis De Beer's first contribution gets it up to the 22. George Whitehead goes to Ashland Davids. They can't afford to drop the ball. They can't afford to concede a penalty. The Sharks can... I mean, they can afford to try and force the issue. They can put players in a rucks. They can try and turn the ball over. They're so far away. Conceding a penalty wouldn't be huge for the Sharks. It is to be an inside ball from George Whitehead. I mean, they haven't been able to get themselves out of the 22. Right, Chris Hollis, what can he do? Gets away from Pepsi Butler. Cutting inside, but still, he needs to go forward. They need to go forward here. Ranya goes to Andrew Bierwinkel. Yeah, I mean, they're making no territory here. That something needs to happen. Right, Whitehead goes himself. What can he do? It's the 9th phase here from the Griquas, and he's driven back inside the 22. The Sharks' defense so far has been resolute. Henny van der Merwe goes back to Ashland Davids, who wants to change the angle of attack. Not much on for Hollis. And they're just going further and further back here are the Griquas. So they're waiting for a mistake from someone. It's either going to be from the Griquas or else the Sharks might concede a penalty and the Griquas and then kick themselves further at the park. Look, they're not taking any chance to the Griquas. They're not exactly going out. Oh, the Sharks come through and knocked it on. And the Sharks knock it on. Their double knock on. That is the end of the game. Right. So the Griquas players complaining about deliberate knock-on. I'll tell you what, I'd almost be tempted to actually have a look at that, because the Sharks would have known that if they do knock the ball on, that's the end of the game. But that is the end of the game. Full-time score down in Durban, 28 points to 24. The Griquas, well, it was an amazing run. It was an amazing campaign, but it has come to an end. An epic season from Scott Matty and his men. The Sharks, well, they were made to work for it towards the end, and they almost made a bit of a mess of it with that late yellow card from Marius Lowe. But they do go marching on to a second successive final. They will travel up to Pretoria and meet the Bulls next weekend. The time has not been confirmed yet, so we will confirm what the time will be for next weekend. We will be live for the game. Of course, we will be live again next weekend. A couple of midweek shows as well. Of course, we'll be live tomorrow morning for Australia versus New Zealand. So if you want to, you can come and hang out with us then. Full-time score in Durban, 28 points, 24. Smash like on the way out. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. Thank you very much for watching. Did we manage to hit 6,500 subscribers? No, we are 14 away. So hopefully we'll try and get that tomorrow morning. Please keep well. Please keep safe. And I'll chat to you guys all very, very soon.